Hey folks, welcome to Deep Dive, a series of podcasts where AnakQatar and friends will be diving deep into our Indonesian roots, exploring our identity as diaspora, and discussing issues faced in the international sphere. Our podcast will be posted on our YouTube channel and Spotify account. If you want to see more content by Indonesian diaspora, subscribe and make sure you follow us at AnakQatar for both platforms. My name is Kayana, and I will be your host this afternoon. Today, for our first episode, my friends and I will be talking about slang. What better way to introduce ourselves than by using language? Joining me today from AnakQatar are Agid, Ahsan, Alicia, Gusti, and Kara. Glad to have all of you guys here. Let's get to know our Indonesian diaspora roster. Our first guest, Agid. Tell us about yourself and if you prefer reading a book or watching a movie and why.
So, hi, I'm Agit. I'm 17. And I prefer reading a book because I just think that, you can picture the characters like however you want. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching movies though, because I also do that in my free time.
So tell us, what are some of your favorite books?
I love reading Game of Thrones. Massive fan of Game of Thrones. And just any classic books, really.
Would you say that the Game of Thrones series was better portrayed in the books compared to the movies and the TV series?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree. And as a Game of Thrones fan myself, the last season was not it. Rather read the books. Thank you, Agid, for sharing with us. To our next guest, Ahsan. Tell us about yourself and if you prefer Indomie or Misadap and why.
Alright, what's up? My name is Ahsan, and I do a lot of stuff that covers internet culture. Anything related to that, I would cover music and you know, just the general social media stuff. And it's more to the English side compared to the Indonesian side, but I would say that I still keep up with the Indonesian side of the internet, and I prefer Indomie. Obviously, the problem with me setup is that I don't know. I just got introduced to Indomie first in my childhood, and I feel like Indomie's influence is so great to the point where Miso Up and maybe other, brand of ramen noodles is like sort of irrelevant. And obviously, no disrespect to them, they're great too. You know what I'm saying? But Indomie tops all of them, and also it's also about the people that you're eating around. So and creates a great experience. Really contributes a lot to um, just the basic eating stuff. But yeah, obviously, Indomie is tasty, and that's why I enjoy it. And the flavor that I enjoy the most is Indomie rendang, and that comes in a purple and white packaging. And if it's purple, anything that's good comes in purple. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, obviously.
I've never tried Indomie rendang before, but that sounds delicious. Has anyone else here tried it?
No, I haven't. I have tried the mie Aceh one though. It's also good.
I haven't tried the rendang one personally. I like the sambal matah one because the flavors they pop. Like you feel me? They actually get to your brain. They get to your tongue. So I like the sambal matah one personally.
Yum. But yeah, thank you, Ahsan, for sharing. Definitely, eating Indomie around people that you grew up with brings up very special memories, and Indomie is very special to all of us as well. So yeah, nice to get to know you, Ahsan. Next, our guest, Gusti. Tell us about yourself and if you prefer Jakarta or Bali.
Hey guys, my name is Gussi Fatur Rahman Rais, and I am 17 years old, almost 18. Woohoo! And I'm gonna cover discussion points, this slang discussion deep dive. And personally, whether I choose Jakarta or Bali, I would pick Jakarta because I'm more of a city kid than a Bali kid. Sure, Bali is great for vacationing and has some of the best nature that Indonesia has to offer. But when we're talking about living longer, I think I would choose Jakarta.
Did you grow up there?
I did grow up there actually. I have some fond memories attached to the city. Like that includes my parents and I, my siblings and my extended family. So Jakarta keeps those memories alive for me.
That's lovely to hear. I'm from Jakarta as well, so yeah,
But
it's just a
really,
very fun place. Yeah. Also a very city kid, and it's so crazy like seeing Jakarta develop so rapidly and grow so much, right?
that is true. And it grows rapidly to the point where it gets kind of scary, but that's not a topic we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, there's a lot of places in Jakarta for adventure, definitely. So yeah, thank you Gusti for sharing about your hometown. For our next guest, Kara, tell us about yourself and if you prefer IPA or IPS and why.
Hi fam, I'm Kara and I'm 16. A mixture of Batak, which is north of Sumatra, and Sundanese, west of Java. So I've lived in Qatar for almost 13 years, which basically means I almost grew up here in an international community. So IPS and IPA is basically our Indonesian curriculum, which are divided into two. And IPA is basically a study of sciences and math, which stands for Ilmu Pengetahuan Alam, and IPS is Ilmu Pengetahuan Sosial, a study of like languages, geography, and history. If I have to pick between these two, I would mostly ended up choosing IPS because I personally find it more interesting.
Yeah, social sciences are very interesting, and it's good to know we have an IPS or a would-be IPS kid here. For
Yes,
everyone
fam.
else, actually, what would you guys choose? Would you be a STEM kid or a social science kid?
I think I see myself doing social science mainly because that I don't do well doing, biology, chemistry, physics, and all of that. So social science all the way.
Look, I would say I'm pretty good in both. I'm high in both, but at the same time, it's geography and history. They have lots of writing. Like, I just don't like writing, so I'm probably more of a STEM kid. And yeah, I kind of like science as well, especially chemistry.
I'm more of a STEM kid because the thing with humanities is that it's it's a lot of understanding. With STEM, it's like analyzing and analytical thinking, which is more my thing. But with HUMS, it's more conceptual understanding. You feel me? So I would say I'm more of a STEM kid.
Me too. I'm more of a STEM kid because I just understand maths and science better than like essay subjects. And I picked those STEM subjects as well for my A level, so I'm definitely a woman in STEM, upcoming woman in STEM. So yeah.
Wow, you guys like are so definite, like you know definitely if you're IPA or IPS. Like if I was to be presented with this like choice, I wouldn't know because I really like both. So just I think it's just that I'm kind of grateful that I grew up with like outside of an Indonesian curriculum because I definitely would not be able to choose.
I mean, like both of them are like they do have their pros and cons. Like yeah, I do get it, but like IPA is more into memorizing, right? Because like sciences, you need to memorize like the formula, the whatever it is, right? And then like IPS is more into understanding. Even though IPA you need to understand the subject, but then you need to memorize it. IPS is just like you understand, and then like you just need to write an essay about it. You just like write it in your own words.
I actually disagree with that statement saying that IPA is about memorizing, but at the same, yeah, IPA is about memorizing, but I'm saying the other side, you got to consider the other side as well, because I can't be bothered, remembering whoever did whatever in like the 1800s or something. Like, it's just, what does that have to do with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, yeah, it's just a lot of memorizing about like the dates, like number of deaths and stuff like that. I know you don't necessarily use that in the exam and you probably like analyze stuff, but like, man, they just got me mixed up in this whole number thing. You know what I'm saying? I can't be bothered. It just doesn't. resonate with my way of thinking as well. No, it does not that it does not that it does not resonate. It just, I don't know, just STEM just fits uh, with the way I think most of the time, and it's just it just makes it a whole lot easier for me to study stuff related to STEM.
Mm, real. Yeah, it's either like usually like if you're a STEM kid, you're very, very, very STEM. If you're a social science kid, you're very, very, very social science. Thank you guys for sharing. It's good to know like what academic preferences you guys have, and I feel like we can use a little bit of this understanding when we get to the discussion. So, for our next and final guest, Alicia, tell us about yourself and if you prefer opor lontong or chicken biryani and why.
So, hey guys, my name is Alicia and I moved here back in 2015. So I went to school in Indo before that, and I've been going to an international school here since then. So I know a great knowledge of slangs from both languages, and I'm happy to share my knowledge with you guys later on. And for opor lontong and chicken biryani, I definitely prefer opor lontong. Although chicken biryani is not bad, but opor lontong is always the champion, especially during Eid, you know. But even throughout the year, I'll prefer opor lontong. It's always the best every time.
Ooh, I definitely have to agree with that one, especially when you're in Indonesia and your grandma makes the opor lontong. It's definitely unbeatable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes my mom made it as well, and it's just as
Mhm.
good. So.
So thank you, Alicia, for sharing with us, and I would definitely be interested to try your grandma's lontong, opor lontong sometime. So, as we just found out, everyone here has different experiences and are all very unique. So, for this episode, let's put everyone on a chart, more specifically, a slang spectrum to understand where we all fit and what kind of slang we understand. So, this is how it's going to work. On one end of the spectrum is Indonesian slang, and on the other end is English slang. So, let's begin. Let's start it off with Alicia. Would you tell us where you would see yourself on this chart?
So for me, as I said before in the introduction, I've been in Indonesia and in Qatar both. And I've been keeping up with both slangs as well, like for English slangs in school and Indonesian slang on social medias, also my friends. So I would say I'm in the middle of the spectrum. What about you, Kara?
For me, I'm pretty confident with both, honestly. But I like what I said earlier, I mostly grew up here in an international community. However, speaking like in Bahasa, I can I'm fluent with it because like it's still my mother language, you know. So maybe I'm more into Indo slangs. What about you, Ahsan?
I mean, I'd say I'm pretty good with my Indo slang. You know, shout out my 11 years in Indonesia, but I don't think I'm gonna big myself up too much because I recently talked with my Indo friends, and I'm not gonna lie, yeah, I'm getting cooked on the slang part. You know what I mean? They're like, they're like teasing me about it. You know, it's like kind of sad, but yeah. And I talk more English every day and English slang, and I spend most of my time on the internet on the English side of the internet. And obviously, yeah, I would just, I want to put it in the middle, but I think that would be a very unpopular opinion, especially like among my Indonesian friends. So like, I'd put it more towards the English side.
All right. So as for me personally, I'm kind of like you, bro. I am more leaning towards the English side of the slang spectrum. To be honest with you, I'm not all that well versed in Indonesian slang. I mean, those WhatsApp messages that your family sends. Those are the closest I get to Indonesian slang. But I'm more comfortable with like English slang. So I would say, yeah, just like you, would be leaning more towards English. So that was just for me, but how about you, Agid? Where do you fall on the spectrum?
So I see myself to be in the middle because, like I'm comfortable in using English and Indonesian when speaking. So yeah. And Kayana, what about you?
Oh, I would definitely see myself at the English end of the spectrum because I only know a few Indonesian slang words and I don't really use them. I only use them when I'm back in Indonesia and I'm surrounded with my cousins who are my age. But other than that, I'm very much chronically online, so I use a lot of English slang, especially from Twitter and TikTok. So, thank you everyone for sharing what slang you are well versed in. And we can just get straight into the discussion of slang. So, let's talk slang. First, we'll be breaking down some well known and well used slang that we use in our day to day lives with our friends, and especially the differences between Indonesian slang and English slang. So I'm just going to pass it along to Ahsan and Gusti to talk about laughing in each language.
I mean, yeah, obviously, one of the most common form of slang is laughing in each language, and I think this started around like early 2010s when emojis were like it's probably there, but it's not really that popular, and the average person had phones, so obviously they had to find a way to communicate if something's funny and like express that you're laughing in a text format. Yeah, and one of the most popular examples are like weka weka weka. Um, at least that's like in Indonesia. Some people say. I think this was like a long time ago. Some people say that it's Indonesia's like Wokland or something. I don't know. I don't really know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time. But yeah, and we have that's like on the how do you say what's it called Visco Girl thing. Yeah, obviously there are different formats, ngakak also, or like even shortened versions like lol, but obviously lol is like a bit more sarcastic. Yeah, and obviously some of these stuff you don't say in real life because otherwise people you're on some crazy stuff, like it's just people are gonna think you're like on some crazy stuff. You're saying walk walk walk, like all of a sudden like nah fam, you don't really do that. Just say it on text, keep it on your phones. And obviously we have these like chronically online laughing stuff, which is more on the English side, to be honest. And like stuff like when you make a joke and somebody said goodbye. I mean, like it's not like innalillahi goodbye, what I'm saying? But obviously they're dead laughing. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not really big on this stuff. So, Gusti, you might want to explain some more, you feel me?
All right, so when we talk about the traditional laughing things that Asan has discussed, they're more like onomatopoeia. Like if you've taken an English class, you know what onomatopoeia is. There's basically describing the sound that someone makes when they laughs. So as Asan said, when the Visco Girl era of 2019 came about, people said eska eska eska, which is like pronounced which is like how they laughed at the time, and also Indonesians when they laughed with weka weka weka. Although it's not used, although it didn't come from onomatopoeia, the way that it's used is comparable to onomatopoeia when you're writing it in text. But when we're talking about the chronically online era of today and seeing how the laughing evolved into today, we see that it's more like expression based. So basically when Asen said, "Oh," when someone posts a funny things like, "Bro, I'm gone." Like it's not actually they're not literally gone. It's an expression meaning that this is too funny that they left the room, and something like that. And also uh something else, people be like, this originated from like I'm dying, because as anyone who has ever had a genuine laughing session with their friends know, when you're like laughing uncontrollably, you feel like you're actually dying, you're running out of breath. So the first instance of this happening was from I'm dying, because everyone knows you're not literally dying, but because you're saying I'm dying and people know that experience, they know that you meant that as being, oh, this is funny. So that's where like the expression comes from. And that evolved to like I'm gone and saying other not literal things to be taken seriously, but just mere expressions of saying that, oh, this is funny. Because the thing about text and like with the barrier that's caused by our phones, we don't really know how the recipient is like laughing like, but when they're using these expressions, using experiences that are shared with all of us, we get the idea that like what level of funniness they get from our jokes or the jokes that we see on the internet. Okay, so seeing as I've said, we use more expressions now when we're evolving to today. What expressions do you guys use? Because personally, I use "lol, I'm dying." Because that's like really basic. Or like the one that I used for quite a while was like "I'm levitating," because like sometimes I laugh a lot and it feels like I'm transcending my body. You feel me? So what do you guys use?
Yeah, oh my gosh. I remember when you used "I'm levitating." That was very funny. And yeah, I totally agree. Like on text, like it's not the same experience when you're like laughing with your friends, because basically like when you're laughing with your friends, you both like find it funny, right? And like you know that thing that happens where like if your friends laugh is like funnier than the joke, you start laughing more. So like that's not the same over text. And basically like by saying like "I'm levitating, goodbye, I'm gone," it's like funny for the other person as well, so like you guys laugh together. And yeah, I like, because I'm so chronically online, most of the time I laugh and I say goodbye, or like I just heave air and then that's it. What about you guys?
Yeah, for me, it's almost about the same with you guys, but at the same time, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's like I just say lol in like group chats and stuff when someone sends something and it's like it's meant to be funny, but obviously it's not funny enough for me to like start laughing. But like you just want to be respectful and like you don't want the person to like be left on scene. So I just be like saying lol, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's yeah. Yeah, and obviously we got like other formats such as like the XIXIXI. I'm not really sure how do you pronounce it, but because like here's the thing, most of these stuff is it's not really applicable like IRL stuff, in real life. It's not really applicable. So like I think it's supposed to sound like he or something like that. And obviously we have hehe. And in my opinion, yeah, like when I use hehe, it's like obviously it's for more sneaky stuff, after you did something naughty or like you just like sent some sus stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, it's more about it's after you did something mischievous or something like that and then you just say hey. But yeah, I think I have another like way of applying these slangs is also when you're in like a group chat and then like someone just says something that is like or just sent something that's meant to be funny but obviously it's not funny enough for you to laugh. And you know out of respect, because one of the worst feelings obviously being left on scene by the group chat, and you just say lol even though it's not really funny, but like at least you just want to be respectful. So yeah, there are like lots of applications on this,
So you just like
laughing in
send
each
them a
language.
pity, like a pity lol.
Yeah, just lol. But I feel like that's
Just lol.
dead as well.
So basically, yeah, no, I feel you. Because sometimes I'd be in a group chat with like 20 people, and then someone sends like a meme or like a joke, and then literally no one replies for like 5 hours straight. And then people usually says, "Oh, what if they haven't seen the message? Like it's a group of 20 people, and it's been 5 hours. You mean to tell me not one person has seen and given a response? Like I feel bad, so I'd be like, okay, lol, ha, or like a laughing emoji, but like it's the generic laughing emoji with tears streaking down their face. You know for a fact if someone says lol or that emoji, like you're done, like you're actually gone. People hate you.
Well, yeah. So like using like those kind
Yeah, you're dead food, fam. You're dead food if you say that. If they say that, you're like not funny. You know what I mean? Like just don't get gassed because of one lol. Like just a bunch of people saying lol. You know what I mean?
real. No, like sometimes yeah, like saying lol is used for like very sarcastic purposes. I feel like another way people use like onomatopoeia for sarcastic laughing is like when they send h. I don't know if like only Indonesians use it, but like yeah, they use like in chat.
Yeah, I know about that too. Like people just answer with like H, which is like it's just for sarcasm as well. Same like, but like this time it's like a lazy thing, so it's like more of a force. But people don't even like if people see that they won't see the person laughing. It's more just like haha. Like, you know, it's more a
So it's
force.
like the same kind of
So
the
it's
same
like
kind of vibe as
a
like the
disinterested
lol.
laugh. Like people don't care.
Yeah.
Like they don't
Yeah,
put
no,
100%
mhm.
care into
Yeah, I see
Mm.
it more with people like who kind of dislike each other and they're texting and they're just like the other person is making a joke and then like the person who's like is like texting, they'll be like, hey, che, she's be like, ha, like it's not funny. So I'm kind of like that.
And then there's also this notion that Indonesians are lazy. Well, they're not really lazy. They're effective in what they say. So they like to abbreviate the words that they say. Agid, would you like to bring us onto that topic?
Yeah, like people tend to like abbreviate when they talk through text. And I think people do this because it's just easier to like text this way and it's faster as well. So for instance, for like Indonesian slangs, they would take out the first letter or like the vowels in each word. So for instance, the word belum, so they would abbreviate it into BLM, but then again, like in English, BLM would have a different meaning because it's short for Black Lives Matter. There are also other words, kayak kata nggak apa-apa. People would shorten that into GPP. So
Oh, okay.
also, if it's plural, they tend to use a speech mark or the number two. So like the number two would just indicate that it's repeated or like said twice. Like nggak apa-apa, like people would either use GPP or like nggak, GAK, and they would do apa, dua. Does
Or
that make
maybe
sense?
like, or maybe like pura-pura, you know, like
Exactly.
pura
Yeah.
and then two. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's just
Also,
repeated basically.
Also, do you know, like, I've once did, not once, honestly. I did this like a lot. I used abbreviating words like in a sentence, you know? Like, it makes a sentence. You get me?
Yeah. So you're shortening, your sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, like, FR, but BRB, you know? Wait, Agit, do you know, like, the new word that they make, like, popular these days? Like, it's called TBL, stands for takut banget loh. I heard it from like TikToks or something. It's real popular there. Basically, it's to explain how scared you are. So like takut banget loh. So like so scared lol. You know, you can use it for like exaggerating something or like to express yourself, something like that. You know, TBL, takut banget loh.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna link it back to when we said like laughing in each language, which is like the previous point, and like say that abbreviating words. It's not really about the plural using to or something like that. But like I feel like in abbreviating words, particularly like in the English side of slang, when you say like LMAO, like that's like abbreviating words, right? LOL or something like that. It's like, and I feel like the fact that they abbreviate it and like you're supposed to be laughing just adds to the disrespect and like just can't be bothered sense of like you just can't be bothered to laugh, but you just put there anyway just out of respect. It just makes you seem more unfunny.
Yeah, like I understand you, because like it's like you don't put a lot of effort into what you're trying to say.
So yeah, like you guys would say like apa we use like all of these like abbreviations and like making things shorter when like we're like with our friends, but like not necessarily when we're texting like our parents or like some people who are like older than us. Also, like something I've noticed is that for like abbreviating words, Indonesians, we like taking out vowels. But then like the English abbreviations, they're like the first letter from each word of that sentence.
Guys, a question though. Why do we not have any plurals in Bahasa? Because what we do is that we just, repeat the same word twice. And I think it's really interesting. Does anyone have any?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Agid, because I don't think that Indonesians are lazy per se, but we never really have any like plurals. We just say the same word twice. So for example, like you said sama-sama, or like if we want to say moms, we don't say, like, we don't have a plural word for ibu. It's just ibu ibu. um I think Indonesians are like very straight to the point. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kiana. I mean, I don't know the history behind why do they say the plural is like two words, but I feel like it's like effective. It makes like if people want to learn Indonesian, it's pretty easy for them. It's like there is no like there's no rule. It's just like you just have to like repeat the word twice, which I think it's okay. Like it's unique, I guess, because like I feel like in other language they don't do this, so it's only Indonesian. But yeah. Okay, so I have a question for the audience. In your language, do you guys repeat the word twice, or do you have plurals like we do in English, or is it just an Indonesian thing? If you guys could leave in the comments what you guys think. I mean, what your language have, it'll be nice for us to know.
Yeah, but I feel like when you shorten a word, it can make you look very informal sometimes. And I think you need to know when to use it because, let's say, like, well, in my opinion, let's say when you're talking to someone older and then you just start abbreviating some words, like to me, that would just seem disrespectful in a way. I'm not sure though. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because when I talk to someone older, I just tend to, pakai bahasa baku and try not to abbreviate stuff unless that you really know this person. Do you guys do that too?
I mean, I don't think it's disrespectful as it is. I just think that, like, as the language is, it's not disrespectful, but as in, it stops the flow of communication between you and the like elderly person. So in that sense, it's like they don't understand what you're saying, and sometimes people take it as offense. So yeah, but I don't think it's really like disrespectful.
Yeah, me too. Cause I'm sure like our grandmas or like our aunts when they talk to us, they abbreviate words. So it's I don't think it's really that disrespectful. But yeah. What else do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think like the act of abbreviating words is disrespectful itself. I feel like it's more inappropriate in some situations. So, for example, like if, like Agit said, like let's say you're talking to someone older than you, and you might not know them as well, it's better for you to use bahasa baku because they might like there might be like obviously a generational gap, like they might not know like what these words mean, especially like we're coming up with like so many new ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, speaking of new words like that, do you guys know like these new words coming from TikTok? It's like TBL stands for takut banget lo, you know. Basically in English it means like, oh, I'm scared lol, to exaggerate things, you know. Like for example, today is like SATs, for example. Okay, like you have like a SAT exam, and then you'd be like in a group chat saying TBL, 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 you know, like I'm so scared lol, you know, like just to exaggerate things. Basically, maybe you can also use it for teasing someone. Yeah.
Oh, so Kara, do you know where do people actually like came up with TBL? Because it's very like it's expressive, but it's very weird to like say like takut banget lo, but you say it for yourself. You get me what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. Well, I do know where it's originally from, like where it got viral. Basically, it's like from TikTok. They have this one video of a guy that just said like this random venting thing, you know, like. But then that guy suddenly just said like TBL, you know, like TBL, and then that just got viral in TikTok. Talking about new words like TBL, Indonesian also like use the splicing word for their slangs. For example, we use like mager, which stands for like malas gerak, which also means in English like you're lazy or you're procrastinating or something. Do you often use this, like agit?
You often use, splicing words when you're talking with anyone of the same age, so like teenagers, and probably with someone older, but with those that you already know. Cause yeah, like these stuff are informal and and you use it for you use splicing words colloquially. And yeah, like Kayla said, like these words are just formed by shortening, like combining two words together. But then for the spellings, let's say the phrase percaya diri, people would just put the letter P and D together, and everyone would know that stands for pede percaya diri. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean like there's other words such as gaje as well, stands for gajelas, which literally means unclear or like you don't understand stuff. But then people often use it as like maybe if something is so lame, they also use like gaje, like ih gaje, something like that.
So guys, I have a question for everyone. What splicing words do you guys use a lot? Either when you're like talking or when texting?
In English, we have those same conventions as well, where we splice up the words to make things shorter. So remember, uh, when the first abbreviation that I remember was Ghana. I heard that abbreviation way back when I was like 6 years old, and I thought it was a separate word, but turns out it was going to. And since then, there's been a lot of abbreviations, such as like Gimme or Gada, which are all variations of the original Ghana abbreviation. So English has some specific rules, and there are already established words that people say that use the same rules as like shortening it, to shorten it. Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself using I'm a lot, but in terms of like Indonesian spliced words, I usually use baper to tease my friends, especially like when they come somewhere and they're, let's say, very hangry. Um, that's another spliced word, hungry and angry. But yeah, like what spliced words do you guys use, especially the ones in like Bahasa?
I usually use like Wallace to like people because like they need like it's the same. Wallace is the same like chill guys, chill, chill, chill. Because like I don't know, Wallace just seems like so like apa ya kayak gaul gitu. Kayak Wallace, Wallace aja bro, Wallace. I don't know. I use that sometimes with my friends as
Wait,
well.
Alicia, do you want to bring up like ngabers? Is that spliced words? Like it's like what is it? Like it's like bang bersama. Is it like that?
No,
I'm not
is
sure.
it? Is it? I don't
I'm
think
not
I don't
sure.
think it is though. I think it's just
Is
like,
it bangers?
oh my days, getting very confusing.
Wait, what I know is ngabers is like, like a brother or like, like a group of friends who hang out
Mm-hmm.
in like a motorcycle club, something like that. Like
Okay.
you hang out like at night, so we
Mm-hmm.
call each other like ngabers. Wait, ngab is basically abang, but then
Bang.
dibalik.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ngab
but
is like abang, but like what's the burst? Is that like a spliced word? Like
I feel
it's
like
not.
abang bersama.
Wait, it's not necessarily like a word. Ngabers is like basically a term defining a group of people.
I
Oh, but
think
there is
numbers is just like another version of ngap. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
I think, or maybe it's like a plural of ngab, so they put ngabers. I don't
Isn't it? If we follow like Indonesian plurals, isn't supposed to be like ngab ngab.
know. Yeah, but they're trying to. Oh, the Jaksel language. They put like they like do Indonesian and English together. So they're just like.
Mm.
But I'm not sure if that's like actually. This is just my theory.
So, with all that said, we all miss the feeling of Ramadan in Indonesia. Lucky for us, Qarib Channel is a media outlet that brings together the Indonesian community. They have upcoming Ramadan events and more activities for us Indonesians.
Follow them at Qarib CH on Instagram and Qarib Channel on YouTube, where they post videos and their live streams.
So moving on, we have another thing to talk about, compliments. But compliments are more of a universal thing, unlike the ones before where it's more of an Indonesian thing or English thing. However, it's not just "you're so pretty" or "kamu cantik," but these slangs compliments are more fun and expressive, which has also developed through social media like TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram. Not only compliments can be in real life, but we also often compliment others on social media. You could say like "slay," yes, that's what people say on Instagram. But in Indo, you can say like "cechan," which stands for "cewek cantik," or "cogan," or "gokil," something like that. Compliments that you say in Indo. What do you guys usually say to compliment your friends?
I mean, I don't like this is not specifically to a friend, but maybe when I see some shoes and I'm saying they look really good, I say that's tough, what I'm saying. But yeah, I think that's kind of weird because tough doesn't mean something good, like linguistically. But yeah, there are lots of examples, especially on the English side, where like you say something that's bad, but then it's meant to be a good thing as a compliment.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, something that is trending right now is when people say "sheesh," but "sheesh" can be like it's not only a compliment. It could be like when you're surprised, you're like "sheesh," something like that. That is also a trend that developed through social media.
So, one of the most popular compliments in slang right now, especially online, is the word slay. And the word slay comes from the fact that people used to say, "Oh, you're killing it." People, when you give out compliments like, "Oh, you're killing it, you're doing a good job." And another word that means like killing it is slay. So that's where people started using the word. But the thing about the word is that it has a nicer ring to it. So when you scream it out loud, it sounds more energetic and sounds nicer. That's why it is more popular than its counterpart, which is killing it.
In Indo, you can say for slay, you can say like "gokil banget," which is the same thing as slay, kind of. And not only for people, but Indonesian can also compliment food, like "mantap banget," or if in Jaksel slangs, be like "worth it." So literally "enak banget," kane banget.
Speaking of good food, have you guys tried the food at Sizzlers? I went there last weekend and I had some of the best bubur ayam I've ever had. It truly has some of the best Indonesian and Malaysian food in Lahore.
Yeah, so you could follow them on their Instagram. It's at thesizzlers.alkhor, and they're open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. from Sunday to Thursday, and for Friday and Saturday, they're open from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. And you could also order through Talabat too, or you could just text them on WhatsApp.
So we've been having this big discussion about slang and where words come from, what formalities we use when we're discussing slang and how we form slang. But let's talk about the field of slang itself. There are some people that say slang is bad because it provides a medium for people to talk disrespect about people that don't understand what words are meant. But people say it's good for people to express ideas that may not be represented using words in the formal dictionary. What do you guys think about these two views about slang? Do you guys think slang is a good thing or a bad thing, considering the views that people already have about the topic?
I think slang on its own is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way you use it. It's just like language at the end of the day. So, I think if you're able to use it appropriately, it's always nice to have slang. But when you start adding, using it like in a negative way, and harass other people, or just you know disrupt the basis of communication itself, like it starts to become a bad thing, obviously.
Some
Like just
people,
use it in balance.
true. There are some people that say, while it may not be used for um, saying negative things exclusively, it does tend to exclude older people or people who don't really know internet culture. What do you guys think about slang not being really inclusive and including everyone in discussions?
I think a part of it is has to do with expression. So like slang for a certain group of people can be the way that they express themselves outside of formal language, but with their own culture, with their own quirks and twists to it. And that might not necessarily be a bad thing, but maybe it's just them celebrating and honoring their shared experiences, much like an inside joke. So I feel like the sentiment with slang that is like cultural is that it's developed not out of from a bad intention. It's from a place of self-expression. That's just my opinion though.
In the 80s and 90s, when slang was first used in television and all that stuff, a lot of parents agree that it tends to dumb children down. And even now, when we use our slang in our own internet spaces, some parents agree that it might dumb our language down. Do you guys think that when we have kids, and they use their own slang, we'll consider their slang as dumbing their English down? Because as the trend goes, parents tend to think of their children's generation slang as dumbing them down.
I disagree with that statement because, yeah, like Hannah said, slang is like just a form of expressing your feelings, just more than like the actual language. So it's not exactly dumbing the language down. And it's just a slang is something that you initially would use with your friends. So it's not it's not something that is bad per se. Like it's just the way you talk to your friends is getting you guys more closer. Yeah, like an inside joke kind of something you would say in your friend group. And but like to your parents, there might be like those age gap that they wouldn't understand what these slangs mean. But like I mean, for my kids later, I feel like it's fine for them to use slang. It's harmless.
In
For me, I do think like I disagree too. Like as what Ali said, I think I would allow my child to use slangs because the way I see it, if my children's okay use slangs, they are following the trends of their generation. I don't want my children to be um gaptek or like like behind in in like trending stuff, viral stuff. I want them to be where they're supposed to be. Maybe slangs can, show them that they're following the trend and stuff.
I see.
So like I guess to sum up, to like come to an agreement, we all kind of like we all agree that slang isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it's just like when it's appropriate to use, especially like if you're with your friends. Obviously you guys build rapport and experiences, and it helps your friendship to use slang. But then let's say in settings of academia, or when you are in a formal setting talking to a respected older adult, you might not want to use it.
Mm. Thank you for their perspective, guys. There's one last question that I would like to discuss with the board today. What do you guys think about slang words being integrated into the dictionary? Because as we see in the past, Merriam-Webster, which is a very trusted dictionary source, has added the words TLDR and vacay into their long list of words in their dictionary. TLDR means too long didn't read, which is a slang term that originated from Reddit, and vacay is used by like Facebook moms on Instagram and Facebook, so they're now part of the official English dictionary. What do you guys think of them being officially integrated into English?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing because, I think language in of itself it's still developing, and as a society, we also create new things that maybe certain words don't describe them perfectly. So yeah, I think it just goes as a form of expression, and I think it's a good thing to add to a dictionary because in a sense, it widens our vocabulary and in the way we communicate. For example, I think they added the word selfie like a long time ago, and you can't really say anything with the old dictionary that would like be as simple and as concise as the word selfie to describe the thing itself. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with Asan. I think that as our language develops, it should reflect our culture, and obviously, like, one of the more developing cultures is internet culture. So I really think that there should be definitions for that too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you because it just shows that like language develops a lot over time, and it's just really cool how people can get really creative with it.
Wait, guys, but do you guys think that some people out there might disagree? Like, because putting new words of such slangs of like our generation may disregard the older, I mean, like the words itself, like the ones in the dictionary by now, like the, how do you say it? Like the original wordings, because we abbreviate words, right? We connect words, splicing words, something like that. So like some people may feel like we are disregarding the original words. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. What do you guys think about that?
Look, I just think that that's just got to do with the word itself. So like something like I said before is selfie. You can't really describe it quickly with another word that already existed in the dictionary. But something like TLDR is obviously like an abbreviation, and that would probably be nicer in like a formal setting to use the actual words than just the abbreviation. But yeah, some like it just depends on the nature of the word, really.
Thank you guys for the discussion, and it's amazing to see your different perspectives about the issue. That's all from me.
Thank you, Gusti. So, the slang used between all of us are so unique, and we've learned a lot of the special quirks that Indonesian and English slang uses. I'm so curious to know a little bit more. So, our goal here today is to get to know our slang language well, so we can come up with our own definition of slang by the end of this video. I have some questions here for us today that I want to ask everyone. First up, I want to know, who did we learn our slang from, and who do we use our slang with?
Basically for me, I learned my slang mostly from my friends, because like I usually hang out with them a lot, right? And yeah, that's basically it. Maybe with my sister as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us learn our slang from our friends because we all have like different experiences, but then when we come together, like we learn about new slangs from each other and then we just use them because we share like that experience and that moment in time. How did you guys learn your slang?
So yeah, I learned my slangs same like Kira. I learned my slangs from my friends at school as well, and social media mostly these days, especially if it's about like Indonesian slangs. I try to keep up with Indonesian slangs from like my Instagram. Because I follow some of like Indonesian artists, so I know it's like every day they have like some new word they came up with, and that's just like how I knew the slangs. But if it's like English slangs, I mostly know from my friends at school, like the way they talk, and then yeah, so that's how I got my knowledge of slangs.
Yeah, same with Alicia. I learned most of my slangs from the internet and also from my friends.
I learned most of my slangs from my surroundings, and I would consider like the internet or like type of internet that I go through every day, like social media and stuff like that. That's like part of my surroundings as well. Like what's funny is, um, a lot of the slangs that I use depend on my surroundings. So like if I go to Indonesia, I go to like Java or something. I use some of their, I mean, like Java slangs. Obviously, I forgot now because I haven't been there for like 4 years. But the thing is, right, there's like that transition period after the holidays, and then you go back to Qatar or something. You know what I'm saying? You have your English teachers, and then your English teachers calls you, and then like you say apa. I mean, yeah, apa is obviously not slang, but you know what I'm saying? It's that transition time between the different people that you talk to, and then like all of a sudden your surroundings change because like you just came back from the holidays, and that can produce like some really awkward moments. But yeah, it's all cool, man. It's all cool.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up actually, because that's a really good point. We use like different slang with different people, and it's to like identify with that like group of people. So like Asan pointed out, like if you're in Indonesia and you're in Java, you would use Javanese slang. But when you come back, you would get adjusted back into the slang that we use here in Qatar. So I want to know like who do you guys use your slang with, and like are there differences between when you go back to Indonesia and like the slang you use there, and maybe in different regions of Indonesia, or maybe like if you come back here, English or Arabic slang that you use with a certain group of friends?
So when we're talking about Indonesian slang, I use it with my cousins and with my family members who are the same age as me, of course, because they're living in the same time era as I am, so I can use it with them. And there was one time where I was on a field trip with my family across different parts of Indonesia, and what I found is that my dad and I we picked up among the slang from different regions of Indonesia, and we used it on our travels. So I think it's the environment, it's a way of us giving back to the environment that gave us the slang by way of using their slang again.
For me, also the same like Gusti. When I'm in Indo, I use it with my friends in Indo as well. Like, but sometimes they're just like, "Well, you still use that slang? That's like a 5-0 slang." But I'm just like, okay, whatever, allow it. But yeah, I use it with my friends in Indo and my cousins as well. And then in here, I also use my friends, obviously, but never with like people older than me. But like slangs is I use slangs just to get like closer with the people, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, like I use slangs when talking to my friends, obviously. Um, and also with like some of my family members actually, because I have cousins that are the same age as me, so we use slangs a lot. And yeah, like here I would use what do you call it? English slangs when talking to my friends, but then when I go back home, obviously like I have to use Indonesian slangs, and then sometimes like my knowledge in his slangs is outdated and they just need to teach me some new words, and that's okay, I guess. But yeah, that's how I use my slang.
I mean, most
Oh,
of us
it's like
here.
really
what-
oh, sorry, my bad.
Sorry.
Go. Sorry,
No,
my bad.
so, no. But yeah, most of us here say that like we don't use slangs with like older people. But you know what I found out is that yeah, because I go to Java most of the time, but I was in a wedding when I was like a really small kid, and there's this kid, the ground was slightly slanted and stuff, and then this kid was like sitting on the chair, and then like he fell on his back, obviously. And then everybody started calling him jomplang or something like that, and then I was like, that's like the older people, right? That's not an Indonesian like an Indonesian formal word that you would use, and I was like, yeah, that's like slangs are also like within older people, and then like, I started using jomplang, obviously, but yeah, I get what you guys mean. You know what I'm saying?
So it's really interesting, I think, how like slang plays a part in our identity and who like we can feel connected to. I feel like using the slang of one group of people is a way to connect with them and to understand them a little bit more. So, like, what do you guys think? Do you have experiences where like using slang made your connection with other people better and more livelier?
Yeah, as I said before, I use slang to connect way more with my friends as well. Because if it's not like if we don't talk in like slangs, I just feel the conversation is so formal and we just feel so distant. Like slangs express what we like thought and feel more, so like the other person also understand that like, oh yeah, we get the same vibe because we talk like kind of the same slangs. So yeah, like I found like many occasions where like when I use slangs I feel closer to the person.
Yeah, I think that like me and Gusti can definitely relate to that because basically like when we speak and especially like when we speak with our friends as well, it's like we're talking in like a completely different language. Like if you guys would listen to us, like you would have no idea what we were saying because our slang is like so unique to that friend group and that experience. Right, Gusti?
Definitely. And the reason for that being is that, it's a culture that you guys cultivate in the time you spent as friends. So it's something that bonds you together, something that enriches your relationship with one another. And something like that is truly, in my opinion, truly beautiful.
Yeah, Gusti, like why don't like let's talk about like some of the things that we use that like maybe other people wouldn't understand. Like what's give an example?
Why don't you give an example?
No, man, I never. No.
Hold on.
I can't think of one on the. I can't think of one
Me,
on
I
the spot.
I can't think of it on the spot. Like, I don't know. Wait.
You can talk about like how you splice Arabic words, like "aina your phone."
Oh, I mean, that's not really slang.
That's not
That's
really
just
slang.
that's not really slang. That's just like how not okay. How people living in Arab countries talk. They'd be like, "I not toilet." Like I would say that. Slice different words together. I mean, wait. There's other
It's
things,
like
but like it's not slang. I can't think of any like specific slang thing.
4K HD.
But that's Spanish.
I said 4K. That's not Spanish.
4K is Spanish though. Wait, 4K
No,
is
look
Spanish.
at funny.
No, 4K HD.
Oh, shut up. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we can move on.
No, but you're right. 4K. Oh, 4K HD. I thought you said 4K. I was like, that's Spanish, bro. So in psychology, there's a concept known as de-individuation, and de-individuation has examples that are malicious and ones that are like positive and ones that are nicer than most. A malicious example will be bullying. So when you hear about online bullying, that is an example of de-individuation because people don't really people disconnect sorry people feel disconnected from their real selves and their online personas. So when people bully others online, they don't really feel repercussions to their day-to-day life because like the process of the individuation is that you feel disconnected between your online persona and your in real life persona. This is the case with using slang amongst internet groups and internet cultures because you don't really feel like you are yourself. You feel like you're part of the larger internet collective. And by using internet slang and gathering culture from the internet, you feel like you are homogenous with the internet. When we talk about chronically online people that spent most of their time lurking Reddit, Twitter, and what's it? TikTok, yeah. Reddit, Twitter, and TikTok, they don't like they feel happier in those settings because they feel disconnected with their real lives and they enact de-individuation and feel part of the internet group. So they feel like they have friends. So that is an extreme application of the usage of slang, but it's something that is worth talking about. So that was an explanation of the case of de-individuation, and it explains why, with the rise of the internet and social media sites such as I said, Reddit, Twitter, and TikTok, people can are more inclined to use internet slang that would label them as chronically online. So, what do you think about that, Kayana? Do you feel related to that?
I think all of us feel related to that because yeah, we are all teenagers and we are all
Oh, okay.
like more likely than not chronically online, which brings me to my next question. What is your most used slang word and why? I want to hear from all of us and see like where it comes from and how we use it.
My most used slang probably is bet. And I just use that because people around me, like especially my friends in school, they say like bets a lot. And like it makes sense. Like you use bet when for example, like you're making like a plan and like the person was like, oh yeah, let's meet up here, and we just say like bet. It just means like yeah, I agree, something like that. So Yeah, I just use bet a lot because of my friends at school. That's how slang influenced me. Like my friends in school just say a lot, and I start saying it too. So yeah.
That's really interesting because like how we use bet is such a different like meaning. So like for you and for us, like it means like we agree, right? But like the actual meaning is something different.
Yeah, I do agree on Alicia and Kayana, but like for me personally, I use she's as like my mostly used slangs, cause I don't know, it just like came like it goes out of my mouth. Like I don't know, like if there's like a situation where I meet up with my friends and hang out, you know, and then they bring like hot news or like um something like to talk about, and then I'm like she's like that, you know, just to hype things up.
I like speaking of hot news, you know what I'm saying? I also use the slang a lot for like hot takes, you know? Something that not many people might like identify with. So it's like I say I'm not even gonna hold you, I'm not even gonna lie. It's like I use that in the bit like as a sentence starter for, before I start like saying something that's like controversial or something. Like for example, like me and my friends, right? I'll be like saying, "Yo, I'm not even gonna hold you." Ed. Drake's been like whack for the past 6 years. Like not a lot of people are gonna agree with that, obviously, but yeah, you know, obviously that's what I think, and it's like it's just me being true to myself. And also another one that I use a lot is for real, and it's like it's just something that you use to say that you identify with this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like my friend went to a zoo and then he saw like an orangutan and everything, and then like it was on Snap, and then like he like, yo, this orangutan be chilling for real, and I'd be like, yeah, for real, man, like that. You know what I'm saying? He looking mad cute there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just yeah, and I find that I subconsciously say that a lot. Um, I guess that's like one thing to say that yeah, I really do use the slang a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I use something similar to Asan. Like he says for real, but I say just real. And it's like the same concept. Like I really like relate to something or like I find something I can identify with and it's like real. So like there's like maybe there's a tweet and it's about a certain experience and like I can relate to it. It's real.
For me, my most used right now is like blank core. So it started out as like something aesthetic, so dream core or you know emo core, but some now I use it for random things. When I want to describe something that's similar to another thing. So let's say one of my friends does something stupid, and then I know that another friend of mine is known for being stupid. I'd be like Ahmed Core, like that's my friend's name, and he's a stupid one. One of my other friends does something stupid, I say Ahmed Core, because it's showing that you are the same as this other thing.
So my most used slang at the moment is slay, and but that's only because Kayana got me into this though. Like I like before for this, I no, like you wouldn't catch me saying the word slay after I do pretty much anything. But like that's my English slang. In Indonesian, I just abbreviate a lot when I text. That's what I realized. So yeah, like I don't really use a particular what do you call it, like particular slang, Indonesian slang when I talk, but I just abbreviate a lot when I text. And it can confuse people sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I get. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I get picked up slay from me because I started using it a lot during like during work. Me and Dila were shooting something and we started saying slay and then I get just got introduced I get introduced we introduced that into Agit's vocabulary and she hasn't been able to stop saying it since. So we see that like learning new slang words and using them with your friends during like situations really helps us like build upon our experiences with them and like build rapport as well. And I want to ask, like, what do you think slang represents?
I think Slangs would probably represent youth, because most of us, I mean, like our age, usually use slangs to communicate, with our friends and our circles.
Yeah, I think slang represents a sense of belonging because, as we said before, a lot of us said before that, like, we use slang to identify with a certain group or something. So, yeah, I just feel that, like, what I'm saying, it represents a sense of belonging with a certain group of people.
Yeah, slang is very much associated with young people as well as like community as well, because different communities will use different slangs, and if one community uses one type of slang, another community might not. But this creates a sense of belonging, especially if you start using it, and the conversation flows better. Like Alicia brought up, it's less dry and it's not so formal, and you have more fun with it. So, when did you guys start learning about slang, and when do you think was the peak time period of slang? When do you think that slang was so widely used that, you know, different communities all around the world started using it?
I don't remember exactly when I start using slangs, but I remember it was like year 5 or year 6. But this was the time when I was in Indo, so my slangs really like Indo slangs. Back then I used gadanta a lot, which means like gajelas, which means like I don't understand what you're saying. But then when I say gadanta to people like now, like my friends in Indo now, they're just like, "What? You still using gadanta? Gadanta is like ages ago. People don't use that anymore." I didn't even know about that, so but I still use it. But like that shows that slangs really like develop a lot, even if it's just um I mean, 5 years is a long time, but I'm sure like every day I could as I said before, I saw like Indonesian artists on social media. They just say like different slangs for like every month. Like there's a new slangs, and I feel like this is the time where it's like a peak of slangs, because even Indonesian community or English community, they both have like slangs of their own that like develop a lot, especially because of TikTok. TikTok really influenced like everyone to use new slangs every time. So yeah, I think this is the peak time, and that's why I use slangs a lot these days as well, because my friends also use it. Like I feel like our age is like the type that's like know like the slang so much. Like we like, for example, all of us have different our own like group, and our different group have our own like slangs, and this shows that I think this shows that this is like the peak of the time, like age is like the peak of slang time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you ask someone when do you start learning slang, it's like asking someone when did you start walking? Cause like it just comes to you. It just as you like interact with different environments, you like just sort of learn, like pick up new words. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I remember when I started like going out of my house a lot. It was like year 1 and year 2. I started playing football with like the kids on the street and everything. And then yeah, they taught me a bunch of new stuff. Obviously, some of the stuff I can't talk like that in the house, but you know what I'm saying. It's just the environment. Like when you start, I think it's most of the time it's initiated when you start talking to different people from different environments. And for the peak time period for slang, I think it's when the average person had phones, because you have the need for people. People wanna like text quickly and stuff, and like slang developed from that. And texting really helped slang grow a lot. And then you also have like phones connecting people together, and then like more people started knowing what slang is. So I think that's when the you know peak of slang is. When slang sort of started as well.
Yeah, so like to come to an agreement, I really like what Asan said about like you start learning slang when you start walking, because you start learning slang technically when you start learning language, when you start learning how to speak, and that's like from the day you're born, right? So you learn words from your parents, and due to like the fact that our parents have different experiences, obviously some slang words are going to make their way into our vocabulary through media, through television, and things we experience as we grow up. this is why like slang is so present in our identities, and I think also in our, you know, way of life, how we communicate with other people, because we've learned it from such a young age. And as Alicia pointed out as well, it continues to evolve, and we continue to make up new words and more ways to express ourselves, so that it keeps developing and growing into something that connects more people together. And this leads me to my next question is, why do you use slang, and why is it important to you? Why is it important to you to be able to use slang words?
I think for me, as we mentioned earlier, that it's just a way of us connecting with people, right? It's just to just vibe with your circle, you know? It's kind of important, but then important is really subjective. So like you kind of have, I don't know, maybe like different people have different kind of meaning of important, right? So I think for me it's kind of important for us to be able to like communicate with our age, I mean like with our age group. Yeah.
Well, for me, simply to just fit in, really. Because I realized that, like, when I go back home, my friends would be, you know, using slangs that are new, and I don't know how to use them yet. And it's just, you know, like, it can get frustrating sometimes when you don't know what they're all talking about. And then it's just not nice. So I think you need to know slangs just so you can fit in with
Yeah, and like to navigate
people.
like daily life, right? To like to
Yeah,
have normal conversations with everyone else.
exactly.
So thanks for sharing why slang is like important to you guys. But why do you guys think that you know, new slang gets introduced and old slang goes out of fashion? Why does this evolution happen?
So the baseline answer for the question as to why slang comes and goes is because it's obvious that with each passing generation, they would have different things that they would consider important and different ideas they want to express. And because of this, they want to find new words that they would use to express these ideas. There's also the questions of profanity and formality. So when we're talking about our parents' generation, they would place a lot of value on being formal, on like being proper and being seen as like, very like, yeah, very proper. But for us, casual being casual is like our main focus, and that is reflected in the slang that we use. When we compare our parents' slang and our slang, we would consider our slang to be like jokey, very ha ha, like it's not. There's no structure behind it. It's not really that formal. So as generations pass down, they consider different things important to them, and it is reflected in the slang that they use. That is my answer.
Yeah, I would agree with Gusti as well. Like for example, I said before about garanta. Garanta is the same as gaje, which gaje is more common these days than garanta. It's the same meaning, but for some reason they use gaje more than garanta. I don't exactly know why, but like as Gusti said, like um, different generation, they come up with new things to express themselves more.
Yeah, so to summarize, different people consider different ways of speaking more important, especially according to the generations. And I think that also as language evolve and as we as humanity evolve and become more advanced, our language has to follow that through as well. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting difference, especially like for the younger generation compared to the older generation. We definitely see the value in building rapport and being more casual and friendly. I think that's just a very crowning trait of our generation. And that's also why I think that we're the ones who come up with all of these new things and new slang words that we use together. But I'm interested in how you think that slang gets created or gets into the mainstream media, or like how does it get popular? What do you guys think? How does slang have the influence that it does today?
Well, I think it's because kids, I mean, like us nowadays, use them well like everywhere. Like when we hang out, when we use our social media. I think it's because we spread it ourselves. Like our generation, kinda, like our age groups, like the youth and stuff, you know. And yeah, I think because we created them, we understand the like these new words a lot more than the others. So we are also the one who makes the word popular. Yeah, you get what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely like speaks to how it gets popular. But like, do you guys know how it's created? Like we've discussed in our earlier part of the discussion that Indonesians like to splice words and make it really quick, and you know like we like to take out the vowels and syllables. We're like very very like lazy when it comes to texting culture. So like how does slang in English, it's obviously very different. How does slang in English gets created? What do you guys think?
It's a very bad answer, but it's like saying that's like saying like, bro, who taught us to walk? You know what I mean? Like it just comes to us like naturally. Like who uses like Shakespearean language, like Shakespearean English nowadays? You know what I'm saying? It just like
Mm.
evolves as everything else in life
Real.
evolves. So
Real.
that's just a part of it.
Yeah, I also think that like internet culture plays a part of it, because like we have like a lot of inside jokes, and a lot of the slang comes from a lot of inside jokes. صح؟ صح ولا لا يا شباب؟
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, so like all of these like English slang basically, especially from like the younger generation, it definitely depends on like inside jokes and all of the internet culture and social media culture that we're surrounded by, especially like events in time where something funny happens, and if you were like active on social media at that time, like you would know the inside jokes from that, and that's how slang keeps on going and keeps on evolving for young people, because young people are so attuned to using slang. I feel like there must be some deeper or some more significant reason as to why we do it, and I think that it really relates to who we are as people. So I want to ask, like, how do you guys think slang helps people, or if you think slang doesn't help people, why do you think it's damaging? Thoughts, opinions, and concerns, go.
So I think that slang definitely helps people in the reasons that we've mentioned before, where it really helps homogenizes ideas and defines a generation. It gives people a sense of identity in regards to what ideas they value as a generation, and you know what sort of things they stand for.
So as Gusti said, slang really helps people to express themselves, and this is like slang is a way for you to connect to your friends. For example, if like you met someone on the internet, like you just to like deformalize the conversation, you have to put in some slangs. So like you both like you just feel some connection if you guys know like a slang that you both know. And I just think like slang is really helpful to even make friends, because like you don't want to like not use slang at all, because it just seems so like distant, you and the person, and it just seems formal. You just like talking to someone that's um like it's not a friend per se, it's just like someone you like. I don't know, it's like I just feel like slang really helps you to express and get connected with other people as well. So
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like, obviously, like if like a person and I, if you know, we don't know each other but we share slang, the conversation is much more fun, and like it can be the basis, like it can start the friendship off in a more natural way. And I feel like it just makes everything lighter. Because usually, like, with other people our age, let's say we meet for them to like do an assignment or like do group work, it's like you can build a lot more rapport, especially if you use slang, and I think that helps us navigate a lot of things in life.
How slang helps people is that it creates a homogenized group of what people value and what people think about in their generation. It creates a source of identity amidst a generation within specific places or as a broad thing. So when we're talking about internet slang, everyone has access to the internet. So people of a specific generation can be like, yo, I use this word so I connect with other people who use this word. In this context, we're talking about the entire world, so it creates that connectedness, that feeling of being connected with other people. But then there's also local slang that we talked about like Indonesian slang more specifically. That's what we're talking about. It really helps to communicate ideas that are within Indonesia. So, for example, Indonesian politics or Indonesian phenomenons. It's used amongst the Indonesian people, and it creates a stronger sense of identity within our country and within our generation. And it is also helpful in another way, in the way that it helps easily communicate ideas between people. So, what would take someone sentences to convey, they can just say in one word, because that is the point of an evolving language, making it easier for its users to express ideas and emotions.
Gusti, do you think that slang allows people to communicate across sociocultural boundaries and obstacles?
I certainly feel that it does help communicate amongst people in other countries easier, but it's only in the way where it's a shared experience. If we're talking about a specific Indonesian phenomenon, like I said before, I don't think any amount of slang will get let's say, a Japanese person to try to relate if they don't understand the whole facet of the situation. So, Kayana, do you feel like slang has helped you communicate with other people easier in other countries, or maybe just here in Qatar?
Yes, it definitely has, especially during like awkward or tense interactions where maybe like organic connection isn't really there, maybe we don't know each other, or it's like for work purposes. Using slang definitely like bonds you with another person more than formal jargon can ever. Which leads me to the end of our discussion, where we will come up with our own definition of slang using all of the talking points that we have discussed and everything that we have shared. Because the problem with formal definitions on the internet, especially, is that they do not take into account our experiences and our feelings when discussing slang and how they apply to our situation. So this definition of slang isn't supposed to be a universal definition, just a better and more fitting one for our community, for the Indonesian diaspora community especially. So let's take a look at some of the definitions from popular websites and online dictionaries. So, Cambridge Dictionary defines slang as very informal language that is usually spoken rather than written, and it is used especially by particular groups of people. So, what do you guys think about this definition? Because I feel like this definition is very narrow. Where are the ways we can improve this to make this more inclusive for our experiences?
I think first off, just say that it can be spoken and written. Because you can text in slang as well now.
Yeah, for example, in text, like we splice words together, like we don't really say that like in spoken way. Like, for example, do we say like LMAO, LOL? We don't say that in.
No, I say that. I go like lol.
Okay, never mind. Because I was gonna say if it's like like we don't say like GPP in real life. But yeah, I agree. It's not only written; it's spoken as well.
Spoken and written.
Yeah,
so,
spoken and written.
Yeah, so we agree that it's a very informal language that is spoken and written, especially used especially by particular groups of people. do you guys agree that it's informal language? Is it only informal language? Is it only language?
I agree it's informal because you don't say this to like an older people in email or something. So it's definitely informal.
I think it's informal, but just say something like it definitely pushes the boundary between what's formal and informal. Because, like, you know, who says if a certain word is informal or formal? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think certain words are definitely like inappropriate to say to a certain group of people because they wouldn't understand. So yeah, I think it's informal for now. Yeah, it's always gonna be informal. Yeah, I think it's always gonna be informal. But I just want to say something out there. Yeah, and I also kind of disagree that it's language. It's limited to language. I mean, it's language, but I don't think it's limited to language because we have emojis right now, and those are not words, but the slang comes from the connotations of the images from the emoji itself. So I think it's way broader than that. This is like really narrow if you say language only.
Yeah, because we've evolved in such an internet age where like emojis have different meanings or like an intended meaning different from what it was first made for. So for example, like the way we turn the skull emoji into like a laughing, like into connotations of like laughing and this is funny. So yeah, that's like one of the things that I agree with Asan from. So at this point, we are in agreement that it's informal, but I think a better definition would be that it's a very informal, the informal use of language and pictures, usually spoken and written. And the next part of the definition is it is used especially by particular groups of people. I feel like that's a very vague part of the definition. What do you guys think of this being used especially by particular groups of people?
I feel like every generation has their own version of slangs. Like what you said about emojis. The older generation wouldn't get, the skull emoji. Like they wouldn't use it, because they just don't understand that it's a laughing emoji now. You get what I mean?
So you're in agreement with the fact that it is used by like particular groups of people, and that's what makes the slang different, is that different in which like different groups of people have different slang.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it does say very informal language, so I think it's implied that you use it in informal situations.
Real.
Wait, so what do I
But at the same time, right? In formal situations, let's say you're at a UN conference, but
Yeah,
there's
I'm not gonna
another
say. I'm not gonna
person
say.
of your. No, I know. I'm giving an example. Okay, let's
Okay.
say you're at a random meeting, right? And you're at work, but there's someone your age there, and you know that they probably can use slang. Then you use slang. That's a formal situation, but you're like, hi, hello.
Okay, but the thing about that is, in that micro situation, it is informal when you're talking.
Allah.
You know,
Okay.
no, you get me, right?
Sorry.
It's like when you're
Yeah,
talking
I
with
get you. I get you.
Okay, so yeah, this is our definition in which we all agreed on. Basically, a slang is an informal way of communicating through text, speech, or image that can be spoken and written, used especially by particular groups of people.
Thank you, Kara, for the definition. We think that this definition is definitely a more inclusive version of the definition of slang, especially compared to the ones that come from Merriam-Webster or dictionary.com. This has been the first episode of Deep Dive AQCast, and I have been joined here today by Agit, Ahsan, Alicia, Gusti, and Kara. Thank you guys for sharing all your knowledge and all your experience. This discussion has been very fruitful, and we have come up with a very informative and inclusive definition. Bye guys, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Peace out.
Bye bye bye.
Dadah, dadah.